welcome to another edition of the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights show. My name is Francisca. I'm a community outreach worker for the city of Lincoln. And today we have a great program for you. We are continuing our series of learning who our directors are of our cultural centers. So today we have Romeo Guerra from El Centro. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So why don't you, I would like to start with the history of El Centro. I think sometimes people don't realize that some of the community centers have been here for a while, but I think they do need to know a little bit of your history with El Centro.
Yes, well actually El Centro, also known as the Hispanic Center for many years, started in 1980. So we've been around over 40 years. And it's changed some of its philosophy and services throughout the years, but primarily it's still there to provide support for the Latino community by a lot of the different services that we provide, and also some cultural awareness activities that we've continued from throughout the many years. So El Centro has been established here for a long time in Lincoln.
So I want to say it served the community well. Throughout the years, has the center changed? El Centro, has it changed its mission and what the services are provided?
Well, the mission has stayed pretty much the same, and that's to empower the Latino community and the community in general. Although it has changed some of its focus, originally it did a lot of cultural activities and to show the community the different diversity in the city and so forth. But as it evolved, we've become now more of a service, direct service provider, providing, again, an array of services for all the way from infants to now we have a senior group, so we reach the whole spectrum of the aging process. So it has changed in that way.
So what I'm understanding is El Centro, as much as we want the community to know what our culture is, because our culture is not just Mexican American, it's Latino American, right? Which is why it changed its name, but also more into direct services. Can you describe a little bit more about what services you are providing currently for the community?
Sure. Basically, we have services in what I call three pillars. One of them is education, the other one is health, and then a community assistance. In the area of education, we have GED classes. We prepare a lot of students to get their GED. Mm-hmm. And the importance of this class is that it's done in Spanish, and you can get your GED in Spanish. So it's been a very big help for a lot of our community. Mm-hmm. And we also have the citizenship classes, and we've been doing that for several years. Sort of the same thing, although you do have to have a good competency of English to get your citizenship. We can provide both while they're training and preparing for the citizenship exam. Wow. The other big area that we have is our youth programs that we have in the public schools. Currently, we either serve 4 or 5 of the high schools and 4 or 5 of the middle schools. It's a very intense kind of program. It's evidence-based, and there's actually a curriculum that the students go through, so they actually complete like a certificate that they've been in the program. A lot of the program involves decision making and how to say no to certain pressures as a young person. Mm-hmm. So that's the education program. Mm-hmm. In the area of assistance, we have what we call crisis intervention. Mm-hmm. A lot of our clients come with an immediate need, and we try to address it as soon as we can. Mm-hmm. If not, then we find the appropriate social agency within the community. We've established good relationships with those other social agencies in the community. So we do a lot of referral, we do a lot of co-bridging and co-managing of some of our clients. It can range from anything to a simple translation of a document to actually being present while they sign up for support services like SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, all those different support services. Mm-hmm. In the area of health, we have a maternal child health program that has been very successful. We have a lot of young women in the program right now who get a lot of education regarding prenatal care, lactation education, and anything to support their either having the baby and the first few years of development. We have a tobacco program, which is a prevention program. A lot of our literature and information, of course, is provided in Spanish to anybody that wants to either quit smoking or provide education to their youth about vaping and all those different tobacco usage. This program is very helpful. We also have what we call a vaccination program. We obviously don't provide the vaccinations, but we do promote a lot of the vaccinations for our population. It's been very successful. It's sort of an outgrowth of the original COVID pandemic that we had.
Very well.
And then we also have a program we call Vida Sana, Healthy Life, which is a mental health component. We have a master's level clinical psychologist with a special project through the University of Nebraska, and we're providing a lot of mental health services for individuals who anything ranging from depression, anxiety to other more complicated, complex mental health issues. We do also provide referrals if it's if they need more intense counseling and therapy. So that's kind of in a nutshell what our services are.
Wow. I'm impressed. I thought I knew the El Centro. I really don't. So you've described several of those programs that, you know, are newer to the community, it sounds like. But the one that really draws my attention to is your direct services. Because I think sometimes people don't realize how time-consuming that can be. And so can you describe to us a little bit more about what that direct services is like?
Sure. We've grown in terms of staff because of the need and because of the volume of service that we provide now. Another project that I did forget to mention, it's called the Uplift Project. We have a collaborative effort with the Nebraska Legal Aid program, and we actually provide more the interpreting and explaining the criminal justice system to some of our clients, especially the more recent Latinos that have come to the community. Their criminal justice system or their healthcare system or their educational system is not the same as it would be here, and sometimes they have a lot of questions as to how things are handled here in those different systems, and we have to explain the differences. We're very fortunate that our staff is very diverse from lots of different countries. We have people from staff from Cuba, Venezuela, Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, and so that's kind of very valuable because each of those countries, even though they all speak Spanish and have a basis of Latino heritage and so forth, they might have some different cultural attitudes and values that each of our different staff are very familiar with, so that we can help them more and they can relate better to what the situation is.
That was a mouthful. Thank you. That is awesome. And it's important for our community to know the services, because I think sometimes the impression that they might have or the perspective is very different from what you actually do. And because the Centro has kind of shifted its focus a little bit, sounds like it's really grown in the services. But aside from all the services that you have, I know that there's been some activities, like fundraisers that you have started with El Centro. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I know you've got one coming up.
Sure. The most obvious one right now is our Wine Chocolate Tango Tapas fundraising event. It's our signature fundraising event. It'll be April 19th at the Cornhusker, starting at 7. We're still looking for sponsorships and people who want to actually contribute to the program. It's actually our 17th annual event. It's been going on since obviously about 2008, and it's grown and it keeps growing, and to the point now where we have to make sure that we have enough tables for everybody that's going to show up. Yeah. The part that is interesting is that even though it's for a fun night, which we always want to market it that way, it does provide a lot of needed additional funding for El Centro to operate for our operating services. Another big event that we have is the Latino Festival, which is usually in September, October. We've already have a date, I think September 18th at the Antelope Park. That has grown tremendously as well. Last year we had over 1,000 people all day because it's basically an all-day festival. And we'll be putting out a lot of information on that soon. We also participate in something called the Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. We're one of the partners involved in that, and we're also in the planning stages of the next event coming up. And in addition to those type of fundraising events, we also have what we call community conversations. We've had one with the police chief that came, and we had very well attended, and a lot of good questions from the community. Trying to build a bridge between city and a lot of the different departments and our community. We had the Mexican consulate come down and answer a lot of questions to some of our clients. And we're on the process of trying to put together the consulate from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico together and trying to answer any questions that might come from the community or from other service providers.
Wow, that is exciting because I don't think people realize that you have the capability of having the consulates come and actually speak with the community members. But they're sometimes, when they sometimes come, it's not just they come together, it's they come individually. Am I correct? To help that particular community members from that country.
Absolutely, yes.
What other services do they offer? Do you have an idea of what they offer when they come?
Oh, they obviously have a lot of health-related services. I know the Consulate of Mexico has something called La Ventanita de Salud, which is the window to health, and they provide some very basic health services, basically in Omaha, but still the consulate covers this area, so a lot of people that need that service can access it. And they do a lot of work regarding documentation for immigration services, and anything that sometimes a lot of the social services here will not be able to handle with. An example was we had an example of an individual who passed away here that wanted to take the body back to Mexico. It sounds easy, but there is a lot of red tape on how to do that, and the consulate can help you with that, making sure the state's notified, and then the funeral homes and the transporting of there's a lot that goes into it, and they are very helpful with that. That's just one example.
Wow. So it's not just the direct services, but also the programming that you have for the community at large, and the annual chocolate wine tango tapas. I've been fortunate enough to go to that, and it's like you said, it's a fun night, but it's also a night where the programming that some of the fundraising that you're needed for your programs comes from. So that sounds interesting, and we will have the website at the end of the show from El Centro. And I imagine that they would also have information on their website regarding all of those events that they have throughout the year. So if there was something you wanted the community to know, what could it be regarding what you do and what the programs El Centro has?
I guess the biggest thing for me is that we're there to serve the entire community. Obviously, we focus on Latino issues and our clientele. But the other thing that I would emphasize is if we can't provide the direct service when the client comes in, we will find somebody that can, and we will look at any areas in the community, even with the state agencies and so forth, to try and provide what that client needs. We take pride in that. We usually, I don't remember us turning anybody away, say we can't help you. We either we either can help them directly or we'll find somebody that can help them. I think that's important that the community know that.
So if somebody who is Arabic speaking can go to the Centro, just because they can't find the resources or might not be sure, you would make sure that they would get to the resource that they need.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point, because we do a lot of referral between our culture centers. We might get somebody who might be better off going to either the Malone or the Asian Center or Good Neighbor or any other the Indian Center. Not so much because of their nationality and so forth, but maybe the service that they provide is exactly what they're needing for. Because even though all the culture centers basically have the same mission as far as helping their own communities, they provide different services. And we're more than welcome, or willing, I should say, to provide a service to anybody else that can't find it in another agency.
Wow, so I've learned a lot from this. I so appreciate you being here today. I think the biggest takeaway is, the fact that all the services that you have for the community at large, but then also the willingness between all the culture centers to help each other out in these instances. So with that, I'd like to thank El Centro, Romeo Guerra, for being here today. And remember, we all have rights.